With Russia and China deploying advanced new fighters and surface-to-air missiles SAM, the task of gaining and maintaining air superiority over an increasingly more lethal battlespace falls to a small and elite group of U.S. Air Force pilots flying the mighty Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor. Conceived during the waning years of the Cold War, the stealthy high-flying supersonically cruising Raptor was designed to defeat the most fearsome weapons the Soviet Union could hurl at the United States and NATO during a Third World War in Europe. However, with the end of the Cold War and subsequent 1991 collapse of the Soviet Union, the F-22 was left without a mission, or so it was thought. Indeed, the second Bush and Obama administrations canceled the F-22 program in 2008 after only 195 aircraft, 187 production planes, were ordered because they made the assumption that high-end state-on-state conflicts were a relic of the past. However, as it is becoming increasingly apparent, they were wrong. Earlier this year, Defense Secretary Ashton Carter spoke about a return to great power competition. We will be prepared for a high-end enemy. That's what we call full spectrum. In our budget, our plans, our capabilities and our actions, we must demonstrate to potential foes that if they start a war, we have the capability to win. Because the force that can deter conflict must show that it can dominate a conflict, Carter said, speaking at the Washington Economic Club in February. In this context, Russia and China are our most stressing competitors. They have developed and are continuing to advance military systems that seek to threaten our advantages in specific areas. And in some cases, they are developing weapons and ways of wars that seek to achieve their objectives rapidly, before they hope we can respond. Indeed, even after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russia protected the best of its military-industrial capabilities as much as it could during the economic and social meltdown of the 1990s. Despite its severe problems, Russia managed to develop and field advanced weapon systems such as the Su-35S Flanker, S-300V4 and S-400 among others. Meanwhile, a rising China modernized its forces in earnest, developing new fighters and new SAM systems such as the formidable J-16 and HQ-9. Thus, while Washington took its eyes off potential challengers to focus on the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, leaders in Beijing and Moscow continued to modernize their militaries to keep American forces at bay in the event of a future conflict. Why America needs the F-22 Raptor. Now, with voices on the left and the right clamoring for action in Syria, where the Kremlin is propping up its longtime ally, the Assad regime, the Pentagon finds that it has to rely on its tiny fleet of 186 F-22 Raptors if the call comes to establish a no-fly zone or a safe zone in that war-torn nation. The Raptor is the only operational combat aircraft that the United States operates that Washington can rely on to take on and defeat advanced air defenses such as the Panzer S-1, S-300V4 and S-400 that Moscow has dispatched to Syria. Moreover, it is the only aircraft in the U.S. Air Force inventory that possesses a huge performance overmatch against late-generation Russian fighters such as the Su-30SM Flanker H and Su-35S Flanker A, both of which the Kremlin has also deployed to the region. Our role is to kick down the door, First Fighter Wing Commander, Col. Pete Fessler, a veteran F-22 Raptor pilot, told me during a visit to Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. We are, without a doubt, on the leading edge of whatever force you're going to send because we have an airplane that has a capability that no one else has. Training matters. But while it is important to have the right tools, more important is the human dimension. Pilots and maintainers must be trained and ready to defeat the highest-end threats if they are to be sent into combat. Recently, I visited the U.S. Air Force's elite First Fighter Wing, a vanguard unit flying the F-22 Raptor, during an operational readiness exercise. Unlike a large force exercise such as Red Flag or the U.S. Air Force Weapons School's mission employment phase, which are focused on developing pilot skills, an operational readiness exercise is designed to test a unit's ability to deploy. It's essentially a dress rehearsal for going to war. The Raptor pilots, while they are a critical component, are still just one part of a team. Nothing is going to happen unless the maintainers can get the airplanes running. The yellow, low observable maintainers can keep the skin healthy, the munitions guys can build the bombs and the missiles, and the weapons loader can get them on the airplane. The air traffic controllers can launch them. Intel folks can prep the pilots for the mission they are going to do. All those things have to come together, and if they get out of sync, none of it works, Fessler told me as he showed me around the flight line. This exercise was designed to take us out of an in-garrison steady-state operation, rapidly mobilize, deploy, regenerate the aircraft, and then turn right into sustained